Hello friends, just going to do this quick video, I guess primarily an update on what we do, or what we're doing with our compost and how we're managing it and how we're producing it. So if you remember last year I built this sort of station and we've developed it since then, and we've kind of got a decent idea of how we want to make compost and what we can do with the natural resources around us. So I'm just going to take you through that really. So you can see this sort of area here. What we did last year was we had a compost area somewhere here which had been there for donkey's years and no one had really managed it or turned it over or anything. So I took all that and I put it into this sort of area here, this big area, which is now divided into two. And let that decompose more last year. Didn't really do anything with it, didn't use it. And then as we gathered stuff throughout the year, we then put carbon-rich stuff on this side, material, and nitrogen-rich stuff, I keep saying stuff, I mean material, on this side. And we raised 2 pigs last year, so we obviously had a lot of pig manure from the barn behind me, and so that all went over there with the bedding and the manure, and this sort of stuff was all the dried grasses and plants from last autumn put onto there. And this was also before we had any way of chopping them up other than machetes and whatnot. If you've seen on our other videos, you'll know that we bought a wood chipper processor on earlier this year, and as we thought we might get that, we did put some of the tougher stuff to the side, and then we ground that up about 6-7 weeks ago to add into the carbon pile here. And then the plan was to bring the 2 piles together and put them in the middle. So what I did last week was take everything from this centre section and push it over to the right hand side here, and then built a separate bay for the outer piles to come in. And we've got a pallet here, which they're so rare to come by here in Latvia. It's just, I see all these lovely pictures of people using pallets elsewhere, and it's so difficult to get hold of. Anyway, we had some building work done on site, had a new roof, and we've had some pallets from that. So I built this new section, and then what I've been doing here is building layers of the carbon rich and the nitrogen rich stuff, and building the layers up here into this section, and I'll keep doing that. One of the problems I've had is we couldn't cover this last year for one reason or another, and obviously it got quite wet in the centre, and so as we've had these warm days, I've been dragging it out and letting it dry, and then processing up the tiller that we've got, that we know nearly everything we do now is no till, so it's almost redundant, but it's fantastic for breaking up stuff like this and compost. So I drag it out and then I use a tiller to do the hard work of breaking it down, and then can make another couple of layers behind the pallet here. So that works good, and that's building up nicely, and I say we should get it to, I think, up to about here, and then let that compost down this year. So this is what was made last year. I mean, it's a good quantity. I guess it's about 1.5 square yards, something like that. It's not perfect, but once it's been sieved, we'll have some great compost. It does collect a lot of sticks because we're in the middle of a forest, and when we get the storms and the windfall, the sticks come in. But we'll start to cover this now, so that won't be a problem for the coming year. But we'll just filter this, sieve this, and then we'll be able to use this compost. Nice and rich, nice colour, nice smell, just that sort of forest floor smell that you'd expect from well decomposed compost. And yeah, and then we've got also here, we put any bark that we chop, everything's, all our heating is firewood, so we chop and the bark falls off, and then we process that as well for bark mulch. And then we've still got some quite tough carbony material here which needs going through the chipper. Got another bag of bark there, and then we'll make bark mulch for the fruit trees, fruit bushes, stuff like that. And then over here, again, as we've got a lot of trees, we have a lot of leaves. So I've been making leaf mould compost, and again, this sort of setup here is very temporary. And actually, we grew peas on these last year, and then I took the netting and used it to collect all the leaves, which were sort of up to here, and they've gone down now, and then I've turned them over into this half to let them decompose more. But I might just cut that short and use that as a mulch for our no-dig potatoes. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, we've got that as well, and then over on the other side, which I'll go to in a minute, we've got another small compost pile as well, which we've used similar techniques, and I've started sieving that compost, and that's worked really well, and I've used it in the greenhouse. So let's go over to the other side, and then we can look at that one as well, and then look at the greenhouse as well. So this is our second compost area, a lot smaller as you can see, but still a nice area. We built this wattle fence here to sort of mask it from everything else that's going on. But as there's a lot of gardens here, we produce a lot of compostable material. Same principle here. We'll build the compost on this side. All the kitchen scraps and everything come out here, and then that's starts to decompose, and then we turn it over into here and let it finish the decomposition. Ideally, we'd have 3 bays, but we don't have that at the moment. And then we've got this Russian bed mattress frame thing. See a bit of both really. That's how they used to do it. But it makes it really good, actually, sieve. And then we sieve the stuff through. Big stuff falls to the bottom there, and the small stuff falls through. As you can see, it makes a nice sort of compost mulch. And then I've used that down in the greenhouse. The bigger stuff, the plan originally was to re-compost the bigger stuff, but because again there was a hangover and previous people didn't really know how to compost properly. There's a lot of heavy stuff, so I decided to skip that this year, and then we plan to build a hugelkultur bed here. So I thought that the bigger stuff, once it was filtered, which is here, would make a nice layer on the hugelkultur bed. So that's what we've done, or we will do, and that'll feature in a future video. But let's just quickly go over to the greenhouse. So, as you can see, we wood check the paths, nice and neat and tidy, and then we've that compost that I just showed you, we've then put that over the top. We put in some compost, filtered compost last year, and actually dug that in, but this compost is used as a mulch across the top. And the loam here in Latvia is very sandy and gets very dry and doesn't retain a lot of water, so it really needs a mulch over the top. Actually, you can see you can see how dry it is on top, but if we just scrape below, it's nice and moist down there. The top of the loam is really nice and moist, and that protects that. This is the natural loam. You can see here how dusty and sandy it is, so it does need that protection. And then we'll put a layer over this middle bed as well. We actually overwintered our kale in here. Normally Latvia is too cold to pretty much overwinter anything really, but we had a very mild winter, so we bunged a few kale in here. It's more of as an experiment, and they survived really well, so we had sort of fresh kale every winter. But this will all be tomatoes in the next 4 or 5 weeks, a little while yet. Despite the temperatures today being You can see it's very sunny. It's almost like a summer's day. Yesterday was plus 19, which is what, mid 60s Fahrenheit, and beautiful blue sky. They are forecasting, would you believe it, snow for the next 2 days. Could be quite deep snow, so we need to just be aware of that. Weather can change very quickly here. And I know this is a video about compost, but I'll give you an update on the no-dig garlic. Looking great, as you can see. And that's another reason why we want to produce more compost, to have more no-dig beds, which we will put here. And there's an area along here which needs compost as well. So that's our that's our composting. And yeah, we need to ramp this up now. The placement of the compost areas isn't ideal. This one's fine for the garden here, but the other one is quite far away from where the main field is, so we need to think about that really. But that's for another day. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. I hope that was sort of informative. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe for future videos. We've got lots of content coming out soon, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.